All right. Community meeting for Dog, 28th of January 2024. Let's go. Undeafening now. Right. Recording has
Uh,
started.
Might have been Tempe.
He face tanked an SVD bullet.
What a man.
So gutted there wasn't more of you in there for the gas mask and tear gas attack.
I wasn't there for that, but I was told that Miles, Smalldorf was fucking freaking out. He didn't know what the hell was happening.
The goblin gas, bro, not the goblin gas.
I bet you thought we were raiding, right?
When I saw the hole in our wall, that was kind of my first assumption. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you've got to make yourself a doorway if you want to do some damage.
I was hoping to capture any and show you the community side entrance. No, this is where you get in.
Oh, I've been in there a few times. Don't worry.
Joe blowing up all my damn notes.
They deserved it.
They were dressing promiscuously.
They were lizard notes.
So real, so
Lizards.
true.
I think it was flashbangs that killed the notes.
I don't know, they were already damaged from several explosions throughout the last month in there.
Yeah.
Flashbang was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Let's face it could have been any one of the 6 grenades we threw in there.
Yeah.
Also true. Right. Should be about time to start. At least the person that posted the first topic is here, which is a welcome change. Anyway, I imagine we might have some more stragglers coming in, so if people want to turn off their sound packs for the time being and go sounds deactivated, you'll be able to hear over all the user has joined your channel bullshit. But right, obviously standard shit. If you would like to speak and someone is already speaking, then put a Q in chat just like that. Without any further ado, though, Locke, if you would like to recite your topic and make your case, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I think everyone can read what it is I've said. Do you want me to read it out loud for the people who are not whitelisted in the TS?
So I'll leave that up to you, though it does seem like we have a couple of people in here that could benefit from it.
That's right. Essentially what I wrote is that there were a couple of major changes made some time ago to how the faction and group system works. And one of the most notable consequences of that is that pretty much no one has an armband anymore. Pretty much, because Odyssey just got theirs the other day. Congratulations to them. But before, there was a lot of groups having an armband. There was also a change where some of the newer groups had a bit easier, had easier access to them, and suddenly it all got taken away. And don't get me wrong, fucking admins and shit. I understand the changes made to the faction system and why things had to elevate some of the standards and give everyone a hard reset. I fully support that, but I do find it very, very, very unfortunate that armbands, custom faction armbands or group armbands, is not really a part of day-to-day Doug life anymore. Whether we'd like it to or not, the current standards for faction are very, very high. Is obviously because only a handful of people have applied, and that's partly due to activity in some of the factions, but so many people failed. And I think personally one of the coolest things that I found when I started playing Doug is the small unique parts of Doug, right? You got the territory claims, you've got the custom armbands, and putting something like this that's so unique but in such a high barrier to entry is very, very unfortunate to me. I understand the simplification of the faction system. Before it was group tier 1 and 2 and faction 3, 4. exactly how an implementation of enabling groups to have armbands would look like. I'm not sure, but I think just a standard timer, say, if you have been a group for 3 months or shit, even 6 months, then you can qualify to get an armband, something along the lines of that we had before to avoid the tier system. But I want to see the armbands come back, just for the fucking rule of cool factor, and even people who just like bounty hunting, collecting trophies. That's what I had to say.
Anyone else have anything they'd like to say on this topic? Any other points you'd like to make? Any comments, considerations, counterpoints?
I don't mind explaining it from our perspective if people want to hear.
I'm sure they would, if you'd like to go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, just to summarize it, essentially, I think you're probably aware, but we want faction status to be a carrot. We want it to be worth something, and we want people to want to get it. And we found that one of the most obvious ways in which we could do that, because one of the most obvious items that people like on the server is custom armbands. So yeah, essentially we view that as a carrot. So if people want to get the armband, then they need to raise their level and start playing and interacting and producing content at a faction level. The problem we were having before with the faction system was that it was rewarding existing for an extended period of time. And that was not only not encouraging the behavior or the gameplay we wanted to see, it was encouraging groups to stay alive well past what perhaps their story sell-by date would be, just to retain their perks, for example. And we don't want that anymore. So that was part of the angle of why we locked armbands behind faction status. On some of the other things, I mean, bounty hunting, for example, you have to use a bit more imagination now, but you can do it still. I know I've been doing it recently, and it's been quite fun. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to talk about it more. I don't think it's likely that we'll go straight back on it. I think we want to see how the current guidelines play out more. If it doesn't work down the line, perhaps we will change it. But for now, I think we want to see if we can encourage groups to meet the level we're asking of them.
I have points which I agree with on both sides. I do like the armbands being trickier to get because I find it puts more emphasis on PID. No longer do you just slap on an armband and then like, oh, everyone knows who you are, but like you're kind of encouraged more to have a more distinctive or unique PID that people can look at and be like, oh, that's such and such group, or oh, that's such and such person. I do like that aspect of it. And in terms of like bounty hunting, again with PID, you could always just, I don't know, you kill someone and then if that person wears a specific hat, then just bring the ruined hat to whoever has given you the job. That's the way I see it. Still definitely possible.
Yeah, touching on the PID thing, that was another thing we were finding with our groups. We did a thought experiment. We asked ourselves, look, if we take the armband off this group, can we still tell who they are? And I think for 80% of the factions we had at the time of the guidelines being changed, the answer was no. If we remove their armband, we have no idea who they are.
I'll admit there's a lot of factions that we had that kind of those kind of thinkings of after we'd interacted with some of them were like, you can barely even tell like what they're supposed to be. They just have an armband in this random mishmash of clothing. Anyway, any other points anyone wants to put across on this? Because if not, then we can move on to the next one. But
I hope that helps explain it, Locke. I know it's annoying that we don't have more of them around. I actually really like the custom armbands. But it's something we thought about for quite a bit and decided perhaps it should be locked behind it for now.
It was.
I just want to say, sorry for not putting in the queue, but thanks for the answer. It makes a lot of sense, and honestly, it is a huge carrot. Given that I've put in the suggestion, obviously it's not enough to fully convince me for that, but I definitely understand, and I'm excited to see how many people are actually going to get faction and how many factions can be maintained at once. Because now that Odyssey's proved that it's let's call it possible. I see how it plays out in the end, but I'd still be saddened if only like 1, 2, or maybe a max of 3 like factions were actually around.
Oh yeah,
at one time.
I'd be
That would
disappointed
unfortunate.
at that as well. I think the hope is that groups will rise to the challenge we've placed in front of them. We want faction status to be something worth having, and we also want it to be something that you can feel proud of having. And essentially, one of the ways to do that is to make it a bit harder. But I hope we don't just end up with 2 or 3 factions.
I'm glad to hear that. We agree on something pretty fundamental. All I have to say.
Mhm.
I imagine that when like the waters settle and everything, like we'll see a lot more kind of popping up, and when people kind of get used to the whole new, like how everything new works and all that stuff. I was initially like really surprised when armbands were put behind faction status, but the more I've kind of thought about it, the more it makes sense, because I mean it really is. Before, as you said, Joe, it was just kind of you exist for 6 months and then, or I think it might have been 3 back then, and there you go.
For an armband, yeah, it would have been 3
Yeah,
months.
it was 3. Yeah. You exist, and then there you go. There's your armband. Thanks. But I like that it does encourage people to actually do stuff and not just kind of sit there twiddling their thumbs like, well, we have our armbands. We have our faction item. Right. I feel like that's all that needs to be said on this topic. So anyway, we can move on to the next one, which was posted by Henry. If you'd like to take it away.
Yes. So I crossed out 2 of the points I made because I feel like they are being dealt with and brought to attention to the groups that were doing it by the admins. So I don't think they need to be discussed at the minute. But notes being left that have no purpose in the server, which ruin immersion by containing out-of-character context, mostly in the form of an immature joke. So, over the course of a couple of months, we, and I'm sure other people have seen them, there are meme notes that literally have no context at all. For example, there was one that referred to OnlyFans and feet pics. That was outside of base. Like, why do we need that on the server? It's pointless. Notes about, someone's shit is here. This is stupid as fuck. Merry Christmas, go fuck yourselves. Just some random notes that don't really need to be just ruin immersion. I just think it needs to be brought to attention. Maybe think about people.
Go ahead, Benjamin.
Remember, notes as well can impact server performance. So the less short meme notes you have, better performance will be in an area. Just what I wanted to say.
Anyone else have anything they'd like to add? I know I've ran into a fair few. Oh, Diesel, go ahead.
Just remember your audience here. I mean, you're essentially asking the community to grow up.
Yep.
Look at that.
Pretty much. But yes, no, any kind of notes that refer to things like Discord or anything out of game, not ideal, especially if because we're trying to kind of have a somewhat realistic world, as realistic as DayZ can be. Go ahead, Greenie.
Hey everybody. I agree with Henry. I just want to say that I think the people that are doing the things he has an issue with most likely aren't going to be in this meeting. I just have a feeling that that's the case.
Some of them, you are correct.
Yeah, but yeah, that's all I had to say.
And it's also a tricky thing, because, I mean, not every Joe Schmo that joins the server is going to pay attention to these. So I think some of this is inevitable, but obviously, I guess the point is just trying to avoid it in those community members and people that actually give a shit more than anything else.
Can I chime in a sec?
Yep, go ahead.
There are, yeah, just pass the word on about the notes. There's some quite high-ranking group members in this meeting right now. If you have like a prospect, someone who's quite new to the server, just a nice, polite reminder. Try and keep the notes somewhat serious if you do see any meme notes from them. It's probably not going to remove it entirely, but it may improve it a small amount, just bringing awareness to it.
I will say as well that some notes that are less serious and more kind of goofy can make sense in the context of some characters. Like, I would imagine, say, someone in the Clowns maybe leaving some rather, like, interesting notes like that, but maybe that's just because their character's a bit of a goofy bastard or something like that. Maybe even someone that can't write properly, I see, but
The notes we had from the clowns were relatively good.
Yeah, you knew it was clowns, you know?
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, there's obviously quite a line between just someone goofing around in character and check out my OnlyFans, or hit me up on Discord, here's my Discord ID. Though, if anyone else has anything they'd like to say, then now would be the time to go ahead. Definitely a good idea to pass it down the chain, as it were, in groups, any group leaders that are present. Or just anyone, even anyone that's just a member of a group, just pass it along to your fellows, I suppose. Though with that being said, speak now or forever hold your peace, because we can move on to the next topic. Right, next topic was posted by Joe. If you would like to take it away.
Oh shit. Just checking what I wrote. Oh, radio broadcasts. That was it. Yeah, I mean, look, we've had a lot of content on the subreddit. It's been really cool. It's nice to see it alive. Nice to see people posting on there. There's been some really cool stuff. Just wanted to get people thinking about when to write a radio broadcast and when to try and keep that in game. I mean, I know it's hard sometimes to get hold of people, do stuff on the radio. Sometimes the best way to reach them might be the subreddit. But recently we saw things sort of devolving into a back and forth. You know, one group would post a Reddit thread to send the message to the other, and the other group would reply with their own broadcast, and then there would be a reply to the reply, and blah blah blah. And I couldn't help thinking that perhaps that would all be a bit more organic and a bit more immersive if it was done in game. So yeah, just I guess get people thinking about when is the right time to write it up and when is the right time to leave a note or get on the radio. That might be a better way to do things.
Could even be, yeah, like, as you said, on the radio, like, a good idea could maybe be use the Reddit or something like that. You could even announce, like, a time and a date and time. Tune into this frequency for a message from our faction, message from Darkest Midnight, message from whoever.
Yeah, or hell, I mean, even a Discord message would do that in events.
Yeah.
I feel like no one would have a trouble with that. Yeah, just a thought. It might be something that gets people logging in.
I've heard people have been using the radio more and more recently as well, so
Oh yeah,
more
it's been
more
great.
shit on the
People
radio
really
is
have been
always
using
good.
radio. It's been very good.
Lazarus, if you'd like to chime in.
Ooh, I like what you're saying with this one, but I just wanted to say that like I understand how making a statement saying, "Hey, let's all interact in game more regarding this particular part of what we do on this server." I think that's a great idea, but I think the best way to do that would be to make a couple changes to how the radios work in game. I think just making batteries last longer and making it so the radios can get from corner to corner of the map, as much as it might take away from the hardcore aspect of this game, it would make it a lot easier to have an in-game conversation. I think that some of the conversations we're having here are good, but I think that having a CCE change or something would greatly increase the chances of what you're trying to get across actually happening. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we already have a CCE that went to like the stage 2 voting and didn't end up going through, right?
I believe we did, yeah. A map-wide radios vote that didn't go through.
Yeah, it seems like it's been a back and forth topic for a while, especially in the CCE. So I think that is just something that you have to leave up to the whole CCE process itself. I mean, if it didn't go through last time, maybe some adjustments are made with the suggestion and it goes through again once people are a little bit happier with it. But I think it's still definitely a good topic to kind of go back and forth on and flesh it out in there.
I know that the radio system as it is in DayZ right now is very limited. I don't know much about it, but I know that there's a lot you can't change, like number of channels, etc. Something that kind of occurred to me was maybe, and I don't know if this is possible, of course, maybe something like on your radio you can hear somewhat, you can receive anywhere in the map, but you can't speak unless you're within a someone won't hear you speaking unless you're within a certain radius of them. I'm not quite sure how those big base radio things work. The big ones that go on your back.
Transceivers.
Yeah, the big transceivers. But I would hope that if you have one of those, it'd be nice if you could broadcast. I assume you can broadcast anywhere on the map there, and it would probably work. Much as I'm saying, like, people with handhelds would be able to hear you, but if they're, like, over X distance, they wouldn't be able to talk to you. Benjamin, go ahead.
Just go to Alta. If you want to make a post on the radio, which is, like, showing aggression to a certain group for actions, and it's, like, something serious for your group, get a few of you together, go to Alta, make a clip, put it on Reddit, put it on share content, make it cool.
That's also an idea. You could also, obviously, like, announce that this big announcement's gonna come on Reddit, like, a week in advance. People tune in to actually hear the announcement, and then anyone that missed it, you post that video afterwards, and you've got that, and they've got that to refer to. So it's not just big angry wall of text that is basically just me and my group saying that your group sucks. Runa, go ahead.
I'd just like to say, I think a compromise at the very least, it would be try to do your broadcast in game a couple times. Or even if it's just once, but do it in game. You know, you got your script, you already wrote it, and then post it on the Reddit. So there's a chance for people to organically experience. That's what I did with our most recent broadcast. But it's been like a month now, but
yeah, I mean, look, I've no problem with people posting things occasionally on the Reddit. I just saw when things were devolving into like an instant messaging platform on there, where groups were like bouncing back 3-4 times. I just thought it could be better served by another system.
Buck, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention. I think speculating about like radio changes and stuff is a bit off topic for what the actual point was. Because it was like Joe just said, people not talking to each other in game and instead, keyboard warrioring to a point, which is different than the occasional broadcast for sure.
Alex, go ahead.
I say this as politely and nicely as I can, but I think if we all looked at it, the issue with people doing, X radio broadcast about this person or whatever, I think part of it has to do with some gear fear and the fear of going to said area and relaying a message in character. And I think that it was like a easy cop out to just hop on the Reddit and post a story about it and not have to risk anything in addition. That's my take. I don't know. I mean, that's all I got.
Send a recruit with a message stapled to their chest. Be like, read this. We don't like you. Fuck off. And then the recruit either gets shot in the head or waddles back.
I can recommend. It works really well.
Or, bring in one of our solo players into the story. Get them to deliver the message.
Yeah, and I think that's like the issue, right? Is that wasn't being done. It was just like, oh, let's just post it on the Reddit. We don't have to do anything about it. Like, it's just like a quick little video or a quick little statement, and that's it. And there's no like real in-game thing that, like you could make a cool story about that. Like if someone got captured trying to deliver a message, like there's a whole thing you can do there. And we just like cut out like a really cool part of what we can do on this server just to go back and forth on Reddit. And I think that's kind of sad.
Greeny.
I'll go ahead and clarify a little bit if anyone cares. Just because the Dark Angels were one of the groups involved in the back and forth during the whole 506 thing. The gear fear had nothing to do with it from our side. I'll just say that. The point from our point of view, trying to be a evil group, was to muddy the waters and put out like anti-506 propaganda against, or like to everybody else in the land. It was pretty much for everybody except 506 to see. Now, do I think we could have done that better, and we could have made more of an effort to do it in a game? Yeah, I definitely think so. But yeah, the point was to create doubt in people's minds in game as to like what was actually going on and muddy the waters of that whole war a little bit. But in the future, I definitely think we should at least do with like what Runa was saying and try and do it in game, which we will definitely make an effort to do more in-game broadcasts in the future. But that's all I had to say from Dark Angel's perspective on the whole thing.
Locke, go ahead.
Yeah, this is just something very, very, very cool that I've seen recently. When you started with the Black Sun, part of the leadership is Kane, ex Torchwood, and I've seen Harry Churches on stream going around and fucking just playing the role of the propagandist like hard. He's been going to every single community, as far as I know, and just talking shit on Kane, and it's well good. I love it so much. And the fact that he's going around in character just night after night pretty much gives him like a solid week of just content, going around talking with groups, just spreading the stories of this guy's bad past, or perhaps even lying. I feel like this is something that everyone could do. Dark Angels as well, and something that I would very, very much encourage everyone to partake in instead of these back and forths on the Reddit, because I noticed it as well, and at the end, it just like I personally got a bit jaded with all the radio responses.
Anyone else have anything they'd like to say on this topic? Because if no, then we can move on to our next one. Our next one, which was posted by Shifty, who is deafened. God damn it. So close, but yet so far.
If every single one of us pokes him, I think he will be.
I think we should all poke him
Yes.
just to get him back.
Everybody poke him.
Alright, okay.
3, 2, 1, poke.
Go. Does it like do the wake up noise if you're deafened? I can't remember.
It does on TeamSpeak 3, but not in TeamSpeak 5. They've changed the meta.
Well, I guess we need to hope that he's on TeamSpeak 5.
He's on 3.6.2.
Let's go.
Does TeamSpeak 5 exist?
If Shifty is deafened and we have anyone else that's posted a topic, then we can stick a bookmark in that and then do theirs first. So we have remaining topics from British Paul and Riker/Echo. Though I don't think I see any of them here. Damn it.
Echo is not here, but he would like me to just take over his point.
Okay,
I'm
well,
here, by the way, but I have a different name. I had to reinstall TeamSpeak.
right, okay. Well, we can do British Paul's topic, see if Shifty's back. If not, we'll have Locke present Riker's, and then if he's not back after that, then we'll just rifle through it ourselves. Right, take it away, British Paul.
All right, so I know that it sounds like there's not a lot of leg room in this because the instant reaction is going to be like it's not enforceable. But the answer to that is I don't think not being enforceable is not a good enough reason not to do something. I think suggestions like I'm about to make that aren't enforceable really come down to like the community taking the lead on that and making it part of culture. Like leading by example and just making it become a thing. But anyway, the suggestion was I was thinking of ways that we can make gunfights more immersive and realistic, and also how to sort of even things up for like smaller groups and solo players. In like, for example, if a solo player captures one of a group, he has to fight with the fact that they're just going to jump on Discord and say, "Oh, I've been captured," and then all of a sudden, there's 3 of them outside the door. And with the gunfights, the running back and so on, it just makes it never-ending and unrealistic. And I was thinking if we remove the run backs, like the ability to run back, that would create a more strategic battle. You'd have to that if you're out the fight, you're out, so it would make it like less gung-ho, and you have to strategize a little bit more. And I thought a way to do this would be to have a period of go dark after a death. So if you die, you cannot contact anyone for say 15 minutes. I mean, that's just a number, it could be anything. So this would stop all the things like the run backs and particularly when you die, the saying in your TeamSpeak or whatever, "Oh, I've been shot in X place from this position." I mean, you shouldn't be able to say that, right? Because you're dead. So how can you continue to give information? And like I said, I know it's not enforceable, but if we agree to do something like that over time, it would just become how we did it. That's it, really.
I do like this idea, mostly because obviously if you let's say you are sitting there alone and you see that there's 3 of us DAM members wandering through a town, and then you sneakily take it, we're all we kind of split off and go our own ways. You sneakily take out one of us, then if this suggestion was put in place, this was the etiquette we were trying to push for, then the other 2 would the person would just go silent, and then the other 2 would be none the wiser. Or so if you whittled it down to 1 person, you could capture them, drag them away, and then do whatever you plan to do. I do like that aspect of it. Obviously, yes, it is very hard to enforce because you're going to have people, maybe some people in TeamSpeak, most of the kind of members and people that are in factions and groups and people that give a shit in TeamSpeak, but then you'll have other people that are in Discord or even just people that just play a server and don't really look at the rules, that are just going to be sitting in with their friends in Discord or something. But I definitely think it'd be a fun little experiment to try.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not enforceable, but if everybody sort of jumped on board of it, maybe it would take some time, and like there would be people that would break it initially. But if that become like this is what we do on Doug, that would be the answer, I think. Yeah, what do other people think?
Alex, if you'd like to chime in, you're first in the queue.
Go ahead and remove mine. You touched on it.
All right. Locke, then. You're after Alex.
Yep. I like the idea, right? There are some parts that are still a bit iffy. Like you say, if someone dies, say they just go dark, then you wouldn't know if they're dead. Personally, I know at least in our comms and all the groups I've been in before, when someone suddenly is just quiet, we can figure out that they're dead pretty quickly. That's what happened on other servers we played on, which had much stricter OOC comm rules. So I don't think it's got that effect. With regards to not being able to run back after a gunfight, I feel like most of that's already been alleviated with the fact that you can't spawn cycle to get back to combat. So the chances of run backs coming back in any noticeable amount of time really is a lot lower. At the end of the day, I just don't see a reason why straight up discussing this or what. Because the rule is not enforceable in any real sort of way, and even if it was, I feel like it would border the unorganic nature that Daisy Underground has. My impression is already that between the groups and the old factions, the more established people, there's already some sort of a gentleman's agreement that if someone gets held up, if one straggler pops off and he gets held up, then he usually, in my experience at least, deafens on comms and just takes it from there. Obviously, not everyone does this, but I agree it's fine getting the word out here and just giving people the idea. But there's so many things in practice that doesn't work with this, and it's not very organic. So gentleman's agreement, fine, but even trying to make any part of this official is no good, in my opinion.
Do I respond to that, or do we move on to another
you
question?
You can respond to that if you want.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, but with regards to the runbacks, I mean, as soon as you have a car, that changes everything, right? I mean, you can get from A to B pretty quickly, and we've seen gunfights where people like are ferrying, almost using like a car as a ferry system to get to and fro. And I don't know about inorganic. I mean, I think it makes it more organic. I mean, especially with regards to the death part, because you shouldn't be able to give information after your death of where your shooter was, what did he look like, where you were, etc., etc. So I think the period of go dark, and obviously it's going to be obvious or most likely that a person's died, but you still have to ask the question: where's Paul gone? Where was he? And then, if he was a bit behind you, you have the decision: do we go back and see what happened, or do we carry on with what we're going on? It adds more to what you're doing, rather than just I say I've died, everybody turns around, comes back. You know what I mean?
Doc, if you'd like to chime in with your point.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a really nice idea with was it Locke? You said something like a gentleman's type of agreement, right? I'm wondering, is there a way to maybe flesh that out a little bit more and then have some sort of not a guideline or anything for groups and factions? It's just a reminder, or how did you do it? When you first did the Zerging rule, wasn't nothing that was hard and forced, but it was just more of a hey, just kind of keep this in mind type situation that could be used for this idea, and then slowly but organically maybe it catches on more and more and becomes a kind of a norm, at least with all the groups and larger groups and factions actually pushing that and doing that. I can see it slowly catching on.
Joe,
Nothing to
you're
add.
next up. Unless you'd like to respond, Paul.
No, nothing to add. No, go on.
Right.
Yeah, just a couple of things really. One, historically we have these gentlemen's agreements before. They have existed. If you search gentlemen's agreement on the subreddit, you will find the previous one. I'm sure that the list of things people would be interested in has changed a lot since then, but they have existed. They fell apart eventually because people would choose not to adhere to certain parts of it because it was completely optional. And then there was a tit for tat effect of groups saying, well, if they're going to run back and if they're going to Zerg, then I'm going to do it because I don't want to lose. I don't want to be at a disadvantage. Ultimately, I think if you want something like this to happen, then we need to take some lessons from the way other sort of community unspoken agreements have evolved. And the primary way, to be cynical, that's happened is a couple of groups have started doing it and they've essentially virtue signaled the shit out of everyone else until they start doing it. So realistically, if you want this to happen, either one, put a lot of work into making a Reddit thread and try and get people to sign up, and it may still fail. Or two, start doing it yourself and tell everyone how great it is. I would personally, if I wanted to see this change really badly, which I'm not against it, but I don't feel really strongly about it either. That's what I'd do.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Certainly, I wouldn't predict staff intervening here and saying, okay, we want groups to do this, that, and the other as a gentleman's agreement. We have done that for some core issues that we think are quite important for the health of the server, but I don't think this particular one is important for the health of the server.
Okay. Thanks, Joe.
Go ahead, Locke.
While I have argued that these larger scales agreements are not really feasible in any meaningful way, I would encourage any group who engage in conflict with another group, and not just solos, to contact the leadership of the other group and try to set up some ground set of rules for a conflict. Personally, I've had great success with that. It usually humanizes the enemy a bit more, also OOC, which is nice. And it's just a good way to make sure that nobody feels like they're getting fucked over. This was a very, very good thing to have before these Zerging rules got implemented. But you can't really go wrong with just straight up honest communication. And usually the opposition is very open to it as well. That's all I'd encourage to do.
Yeah, I think that's a great compromise, actually. I hadn't really thought of that. The two group leaders set before the conflict, this is what we're going to do. We're not going to run back. We're going to go dark, or we aren't, or whatever. I think that's a good way to do it, and that might set a precedence going forward for future groups. Okay.
Anyone else have anything they'd like to add on this topic? If not, then we can circle back to Shifty's topic, which he wasn't here for, but thanks to the heroic efforts of all of these members, these people here, we have managed to raise him from his slumber.
Yeah, thanks for the 30 pokes. It's pretty simple. If Diesel's still here listening in and he's open to it, just getting an update on some of the CCE changes that passed that we haven't really seen or heard of since. So there's a few that passed maybe 3 months ago. Also, I think 6 months ago, there was some that passed back then, and we just haven't seen or heard anything of them since. So yeah, Diesel's open to it and just sharing some updates.
Yeah, I mean, nothing has been forgotten. It's on our Trello. The biggest issue with any of them, or with a lot of them, is models. Our main model maker is Creep. Creep lives in Ukraine. It's been 2 years. It's, there's a war going on there. It's pretty hard to touch base with Creep. So that's our main issue. Other than raising funds and going out to, outside of Doug and getting models and paying for them. We're not against that, but it takes money. But that's where the bulk of them are at. The other side of it, I'll be quite frank with you, is we don't have as much time with ammo lately. It's been a while. His life is moving on. He's still committed to keeping the Doug mod running. We don't have really an issue there, but we don't see, I used to touch base with ammo once or twice a day, and now it might be once or twice a week, or once every 2 weeks. He's around a lot when there's updates coming out, because he knows his attention is needed. But other than that, that's where we're at. Nothing has been forgotten. It's still on the list, but mainly, it's models. Really, that's grave markers, slings. I'll just bring up the trail just a second. Here we go. So things I've got on the Trello. Craftable handheld flagpole. Yeah, weapon sling. Alcohol bottles, we do have some models for. Wolf actually has been working on some models, but they didn't work. And I think he's just hasn't been able to touch base with ammo. It's I think they actually need to meet and talk. And again, that's a little hard right now. Diable flags, I think, is done. I'm hoping we can see that in 124. Well, just the other day, I added that Shmogs are now turning invisible again after changing states. There wasn't a lot of details in Discord about that because it was just casual conversation. So I added a note to it saying, like, is it only when they're died? Does it happen? Like is that? Because I think that was an issue before.
Yes, it was an issue with died Shmogs.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got this one will probably come to fruition pretty soon. That's the dirt or / ashy face paint. But again, will require some coating from ammo. That shouldn't be super hard to pull off, except for the fact that I will tell you right now, for every model of face paint that you want, it's 89 edits. It's a lot of work. You think it's something simple, but it's a lot of work to do face paint. So there's another face paint, which is bloody face paint. So that's again, for every variation of bloody face paint you want, 89 edits someone has to make in the code. Got spun at 40. Well, okay. I didn't quite understand this change, just other than for a realism thing, but like 40 degrees, I don't think is going to do anything for you as far as heat. But anyway. One sec. Recently, new Windstrides clothing, winter parka, military sweater, scarves, and the canvas backpack, removing extra attachment slot. I'm not sure how relevant a lot of those things are now, especially that Winter Chinaris is out currently, but we can certainly work on it. And if Winter Chinaris comes back, we'll have it there. Obviously, military sweater, the canvas backpack could go in at any point in time. The scarves, I don't know if you really want those, are probably pretty warm. Yeah, allow repair of gun parts with weapon cleaning kits 5% per level. That's just a simple code change that you'll probably see that for 124. As far as bugs right now, opening the map brings a bad 2D interface, performance tanks, and nearly crashes the game. That's in 124 experimental. We've got an issue where someone reported that the pickaxe dismantle timers are wrong. Again, a quick fix. And apparently the orientation of the military flashlight when equipped on backpacks is wrong. Wrong being different, not that it's wrong. It still works. Your light is just tilted to the side a little bit. And I think Desync actually added a note to that said it's actually like that in 123, just no one's noticed or complained. So maybe it's not that big of an issue, but it's just something that he observed. Oh, and allow Derringer gun to go in the boot slot. That, again, probably a pretty simple change, as long as the Derringer model allows that. We've seen before, like adding handcuffs to the knife slot on the belt doesn't work because they lay flat on the ground, and when they go on the belt, they stick out from your back, defying gravity. So we botched that. So if we go to put the Derringer in the knife slot and it sticks out through the side of the boot, then that's going to go the way of the dodo. We've also got crafting bow arrows needs to be continuous action crafting, like the out crossbow improvised bolt crafting. I'll be honest, I don't know if that's live in the game yet. It might have just got forgotten to be marked completed. But
I believe it is.
Yeah, I thought so, but I still see it in the. One of us obviously didn't update it, but I'll have Desync check that or something.
I have a clip I can refer back to on that because I was making improvised bolts recently, but arrows.
What else have we got on our? What else have we got on our Trello here as far as notes? I mean, I'll read them off to you. I mean, the quiver count reports the wrong count of arrows. That was just a limitation of the quiver. Apparently, I think after restart or something, sometimes it doesn't quite work. If you put on a mask and a helmet that gives you the Viginet on your peripherals, then swap the mask off with an item that does not, the Viginet goes away completely until you either change helmets or put on another mask that applies the effect. Probably not relevant anymore since I believe we did away with the Viginet on most masks. I think that's it.
In terms of the dyed Shamags reverting to like becoming invisible, I think that's because the default state of a dyed Shamag I notice when I'm in offline mode is like invisible, so it's I guess reverting to its default state.
Yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting to know whether it's only dyed Shamags that this happens to, though.
I believe so. I noticed that. Yeah.
I didn't have any clarity on that just from the casual discussion going on in Discord.
Anyway, Benjamin is next in queue, if you'd like to chime in.
Just off the back of what Diesel said about the issues with creep and the mod, like the Doug model maker, and reaching out to people to pay for models. I mean, I play Doug every single day. I don't mind donating money to help you guys out to roll out some models and stuff like that. I'm sure a lot of community members feel the same as well. Like, I used to play World of Warcraft and subscribe to that, pay that every day, pay £10 a month. You know, I wouldn't mind donating here and there to get some models out and support the server. Absolutely. So
yeah, well, maybe we'll work on that and just have a very specific, we'll get some quotes and just say, okay, this is, because I don't want to just start I don't know, I just feel bad when we start raising money for random reasons. Yeah. I would much rather have a goal to say, hey, we want these models and we've got quotes for this much money and this is what we're going to raise. I think that's probably the approach we would take rather than just having a slush fund, for models. I'd rather just do it as needed.
Yeah.
There is the server as well that needs financed every year, I believe.
Yeah, well, that's a recurring thing. I mean, that's part of a Discord now. That's its message. The footer on every single one of our web pages is there that you can donate. Obviously, buying merch is somewhat secondary, but it's a nice alternative for people that would like to receive something physical with their donation. Basically, every time you buy something from Doug merch, you're essentially making a donation because and the markup is not big. It's I'm trying to think now. At maximum, it's $10. I think that might be on a hoodie. We keep the prices pretty low. I really try there. So we are somewhat limited with merch. It creates tax implications for the PayPal owner. If we quote unquote sell, right? If we get payments from Teespring, who does our merch, more than $600 in a year, then they have to issue a tax slip to us. So, we sort of control that. We're nowhere close to that. Trust me, the Doug merch is pretty minor. But if it ever took off like a rocket or something, then we'd have to, there might be a problem there.
Alex, your cue's up.
Well, I think touching on us donating for models and things like that, I think it would just be cool to like using I guess like a pistol, for example. I think it would be cool to be like to hold that gun and be like, I'm part of the reason why this gun is in this server, or whatever, right? It's like I think that would be cool to be like to have that kind of connection to the server even more. So I think raising money for models and stuff, like there'd be plenty of people that want to feel the same way, and I'd be more than happy to do so. So
Yeah, I mean, just remember that any donation for whatever reason to Doug is purely out of, you know, the kindness of your hearts, and it's appreciated, you know, but like you just have to remember that we don't want to be putting any pressure on people, or, you know, have some type of like, even if it's a, you know, in your own head, like, oh, well, you know, my friends are contributing, I should contribute. It's not that. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I've been a Doug member since 2017. I have never donated to Doug, money-wise. Instead, I volunteer my time, right? I don't want to count the number of hours that I've put into Doug admin. So there's lots of ways to contribute.
All right, anyone have anything else that they'd like to add to this topic?
Diesel, I have a question.
Give her.
Any chance we can make faction merch?
Yeah, you know, going back to the earlier topic, you know, so there was a comment about, you know, how armbands are, you know, sort of gated behind faction status. Well, I mean, yes and no, but, you know, the other side of this is that we want people to, and I don't know what to say with this because I was on the phone, I'll be honest, when the topic came up, but we want people to push for faction status because we know, I mean, quite honestly, it's a carrot and stick. Like, we know you want the armband. So, you know, put the effort in to get it. Would you guys rather just go, hey, our group will donate X number of dollars to Doug, maybe on a recurring basis, and we get armbands? Because I'll be quite honest, most groups, once they get their armband, they're done. That's all they really want. You guys just want the armband to make yourselves stand out. And there's not much, I don't know whether it's incentive or just not really incentive. There's incentive. There's not much, there's not much push from the player's side that once they achieve that basic level, it's kind of where they quit. And I'm perfectly honest, I think we wanted more from our community. So that's why we did put them in with the factions, and it just makes it simpler. You know what I mean? Like, just there's a ton of armbands you can make on Doug. I mean, Doug has more armband options, I think, than probably most of the other servers there, with the flags and our custom flags, and the fact that you can make double armbands and you can do dying, and, you know, like, it's the choices for armbands is massive on Doug. If you really need a picture on it to make your day, okay, you know, but it's you know, there's a tremendous amount of ways to be unique other than having an armband. But anyway, but yeah, if you guys want to discuss that, I mean, we can work that out probably. You know, you'd rather just pay to play, okay. You know, I was more. I'm not really against it. I mean, but it's up to you guys.
It's more thinking the angle that we put faction branded stuff on Teespring.
Oh, that. Oh, I mean,
I think you misunderstood me.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the same thing. I mean, it's not like we don't have any commitment with Teespring. They literally print to order, which, you know, which is fair. So yeah, if you guys want your logo on a mug, okay, you know, let Teespring would just do a run of 5 mugs or whatever.
Guys, why don't you poke me if you would buy group or faction branded material for a donation to Doug? Rip my ears if that happens.
I think a discussion like this is probably better brought up in the Reddit, because it's, you know, it's an easy place to accumulate things, or, you know, if we have to, we could put out a quick, you know, a Google form with some votes or something on it. Like,
Bertha asking if we can have a cult rope as a fucking merch item. Okay, so when are we getting the IRL cannibal knives and the IRL torchwood mace?
I feel like knives already exist in real life.
Yeah, there's a stupid amount of merch available from Teespring. Like, like you want a shower curtain, I can do that. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, like you want socks, they'll sell you anything with a picture on it. So.
I'm not gonna lie, I would take some fluffy Darkest Midnight socks.
Honey, the damn socks stay on during sex.
Wait, Crocs. Damn Crocs. God. What rabbit hole has been opened this day?
But I mean, on a serious note, if you guys are interested in more personalized merch, then maybe that's something we can do.
The meeting actually started, I think, officially at 2 minutes past the last hour, so it's been going on for just about an hour now.
So I'm like 5 minutes late. Okay.
You're
sure.
an hour and 5
You're an
minutes
hour
late.
late. Yeah, you have to leave now.
Admin, by the way.
I'm glad you're awake, though, Wolfie. I'm really glad you're awake.
Thank you. I don't know what that means.
I think it just means he's glad you're awake.
Dean, do we have any topics?
Yes, we do have. We're on our last topic, actually. So, well, we're on our last posted topic, and then Benjamin said to me that there's another thing he wants to bring up, which we will do after that. Our next topic is posted by Echo, but Locke has said that he's going to be presenting on his behalf. So if you'd like to take it away, Locke, go ahead.
Yes, I think this might be slightly outdated now because Echo's suggestion here is that the admin should be a bit more over groups having too many vehicles, both just an excess of vehicles in one group, but especially using vehicles purely as storage. If I recall correctly, there was a announcement of some sort from the admin team not too long ago that told groups to not use vehicles exclusively as storage. Now, if you have a Sarka or something that that's not being used for a day or two, and that you happen to temporarily store some stuff in there, fine. But cars inside of a compound completely stripped of everything so it can't move and it's literally just a glorified barrel, no good. But I'm pretty sure the admins 100% agree on that. So I don't know what the point of that was, or at least don't think it's that relevant anymore. But Echo just really want to make sure with this post that groups don't have too many vehicles and perhaps even exclusive vehicles. The group he referred to here raiding had, like he said, it was a Zarka with no parts. It was an Olga being used for storage and 3 Humvees. Whether or not we start limiting how many rare vehicles like a Humvee a group could have, that's not necessarily something I personally agree with, but definitely up for discussion. So call it a soft cap on vehicles from the admin side is something that Echo would encourage.
So, as it stands now, we did send out that PSA telling people to not use cars in stupid ways. Cars are meant to be driven. There's only a limited amount of them on the server right now, and there are people who are struggling to find cars, especially with how tedious nowadays raiding is. It's kind of difficult to get your hands on cars because they're all kind of behind walls at the moment. I myself, even earlier today, did a check around bases and made sure that people aren't doing this type of stuff that I put an announcement for. And to my surprise, actually not to my surprise, they are. So what I'm going to be doing, and I think maybe some of the rest of the staff as well, if they decide to help out, is I'm basically going to as there's now basically like a public announcement for this type of shit, we don't want to see it happening. So what's going to happen is if we do see it, or if we get a report from other people and then we check and that report turns out to be true, we're just going to be contacting the people who are using cars in stupid ways, like no wheels, no parts, just in a base with storage being used like a barrel. We're just going to give you like 24 hours to either start start those cars up, get them running, make sure they're workable, and we want to see them being used, or we're just gonna tell you to ruin them or throw them out so they go back into play because the rest of the community deserves the cars that you're using for barrel for actual driving. So this is gonna be something that I'm gonna try to be on top of as much as I can. Again, if I'm missing somewhere, there's a lot of bases on the server. I can't get to all of them myself, and there's there's just a lot. If you see these things, just fill in a report ticket and tell us where they are, and we'll get to it as quickly as possible. On another topic as well, while I'm here, a lot of people have been reached out to, a lot of groups and a lot of individuals about just server lag in general, and people not optimizing their bases when it comes to storage and how many walls you have put on and stuff like that. I know there are some groups right now who are trying to actively help out new players coming in, building bases, and then figuring that stuff out. I will ask you guys specifically, especially since you're all here, I would ask anybody who's helping new players come in and build to point them in a direction where they're going to build away from other clumps of buildings that are already there. So find the town that's empty, tell them to build there, and on top of that, tell them to optimize their builds. Teach them how to build with as little gates and walls as possible. Because I see new players coming in, I see them grab a shitty green stilted building, which you can only fit like a single gate inside. But outside, in order for that to be an optimal building for them and for them to be able to like protect their loot, they're gonna build a giant ass fucking fortress wall around the area, which just greatly adds to how many of those exist already and just adds to the lag of the server. So please keep that in mind. I don't want to see like in certain places, 3 towns over, right next to each other, there's like a total of 10 wall compounds all over the place, all in shitty buildings that can instead just be like, I don't know, like a fortress building with 2 or 3 gates, and then you're done. So please teach people how to build properly with as little shit as possible. Thank you.
Alex, go ahead.
I'm not gonna say any names, but yesterday I was on my way back to Sinistock and I ran across a barn, and then on the inside of the barn there was like 55 tents, pretty much. Not 50. There's probably 20 leather shelters in it, and then down the road there was another barn owned by the same group with 55 fucking shelters in it, and then there was another one, and it's like
we're aware of these specifically. It's kind of my bad that they've stayed around for that long. But within 24 hours, those should be fixed. So
okay, yeah, because they were all along the northwestern highway, not along it, but off of it and stuff.
But thanks for bringing them up. But yeah, we are aware. We're trying to get that sorted.
Yeah, and there's more. Just I mean, like, I get it. You need storage, but that's just ridiculous. Like, I don't see how that's.
Well, that's the thing. We've done these base checks, or at least I have a decent bit in the last 2 weeks, and I'm never going to tell you to like downsize on storage or on actual gear that's worth something or you need it as a group, right? We make sure to like go through with the all of staff team. Basically, we share the pictures. We're like, okay, is this okay? Is this a little too much? If it's just needless shit and just a lot of storage with like junk inside of it, then it's just adding to the lag, and it's not helpful for you. It's not helpful for anybody. So
Yeah, I mean, it was just like I went inside one of the barns because one of them was nicely opened by another individual, and it was like just scattered garbage. Like, why do you need 75 hatchets? There's you don't need 75. I don't know. That's just crazy. I don't know. That's my take.
Just keep an eye out for things like that. Again, if you see these things become a problem somewhere, notify staff team. and you guys have a responsibility as groups, as factions, to keep your side of this coin as tidy as you can be, right? It's already bad if we as staff team contact you about it, you know? We kind of expect you to keep the shit clean yourselves, right? And especially if you're groups that are teaching newer players what to do and what to not do, please do mention that. You know, don't overbuild, don't overstore shit, and just, you know, you don't need a whole fucking castle wall around your stilted building.
Anyone else have anything they'd like to say on this topic? Well, if no one has anything else to say on this, then Benjamin had reached out to me on TeamSpeak about wanting to bring up a topic himself pertaining to the use of TeamSpeak amongst newer groups. If you'd like to say your piece on it, Benjamin, then by all means.
Yeah, it's just that really. It's seeing a lot of like cool groups join the server and get into it over the space of like a year, and you know, there's a lot of them that I just don't see using TeamSpeak. Also individuals as well, solos and smaller groups. And yeah, it's just sad, you know. I don't understand why they don't jump in, because you can use Discord at the same time and just it's quite easy to do. Or just use TS and just type on Discord.
I imagine the cases for a lot of these people. I mean, a lot of people, they just use Discord as like an all-purpose thing. They use it for VC and they use it for a place to talk. And I've met a lot of people that, like, as soon as I mention, oh, I was just in TeamSpeak the other day doing that, like, people from outside of Doug, they're just like, TeamSpeak? You still use that? Like, they're so surprised by it with Discord being there. So I imagine a lot of people are just kind of stuck in their ways, for lack of a better word. If anyone else has any thoughts on this, if staff have any thoughts on this, then I'd be quite intrigued as well, because I'm not sure if it still is. It's been a while since I actually read through the faction guidelines, but I know being in TeamSpeak and being active in TeamSpeak used to be a part of the faction guidelines. I'm not sure if it is now.
It still is technically. So like if you're an official group and you're starting to want to become faction, we want to see you in the TeamSpeak. I get that it's not the most convenient thing to use in the world. It's you know, and Discord has its own quirks that, you know, like you can have full privacy in your own Discord servers. You can have the soundboards. It's convenient, right? Because like everyone uses Discord, so I totally get that. But I think it's like as we have it now, basically, you still do have to be seen in TeamSpeak quite frequently if you want to become a faction. I know there's a lot of people who also like just show up in TeamSpeak and mute themselves, and they're on Discord, and you know it's kind of very obvious when people do that. So if you guys do that and then you send in a faction application and then we tell you that you're not active in TeamSpeak, that's probably why. But yeah, I don't know. I would like to encourage people to use it more often, because you know there's a lot of people here, right? Like, hop in to an open channel, have a chat after you have an interaction with someone, you know.
Yeah, most of the time after, you know, if he's talking about something out of character, you know, something in character, like two groups talking to each other or something about story, etc., or hostilities, there's nothing better than just airing everything out over comms, rather than not being able to reach that person or doing it all through text, because text can be misinterpreted terribly these days.
That's something I would always encourage. If you have any sort of out of character grudge against people, like, it doesn't matter that it's TeamSpeak or Discord or whatever, get into a voice chat with them, have a little chat, you know, hash things out, because like text chat is not always received the same way you send it. So people you can send one thing and the meaning isn't going to be conveyed properly. So if you want to like have a chat with someone, let's say like I don't know, fucking I got KOS by FL yesterday and now I'm mad at them, you know, and I'm not going to go DM and be like annoying like that or say passive aggressive things in Discord. I would be like, if I actually wanted to hash it out, get onto TeamSpeak or in a voice call or whatever. It's probably the best way to deal with situations like that. Just have a chat. It's okay. Like we're all a gaming community. We don't want to be mad at each other for no reason, you know? It's okay to talk.
Plus, talking and actual, like, hearing someone's voice humanizes them a lot more, I found. It's easy to mash keyboard angrily at the faceless goblin on the internet that you have never seen nor heard speak, but, like, it's a very different thing when you're actually talking to another person, even if, like, over VC, VoIP, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like some of the merrymen now are talking in here, and it's been, you know, quite chill. I've been pushing story with them, our groups, for quite a while now, and it's been great. But it's just, I don't know, like it's just nice to be able to get to know people out of character as well. So then it's more chill in character, basically.
Having been through these situations many times where I'm fighting people I know out of character and then just being able to like or whatever type of interaction you have and then just being able to hop into their TeamSpeak channel and being like, yo, that was cool, I love that you did this, and they're gonna be like, yeah, I'm glad you followed up on this and shit like that. It's nice to interact with people. It's gonna make it a lot more fun for yourself and them, knowing that you're both enjoying the experience and that you're actually considering the other person's fun as well. So it's useful.
I think the main barrier is the fact that TS is like Fergus was saying, it's the old, you know, everyone's stuck in their ways with Discord, you know. I think that's like the main barrier. I don't know, I just wanted to bring it up just to remind people, you know, it gets talked about quite a lot in community meetings.
At the end of the day, I still see the active factions and groups use the TeamSpeak. So I don't think it's necessarily that big a deal. Maybe we can do better to encourage newer players and solos to hop on at times, you know? Maybe we could do that. We can do that through the Discord, or just like in general if you know them. Just go for it. Nice to see the community come together rather than, you know, everyone be in their own little corner and do things their way.
Yeah, but that was it, Fergus. I just wanted to remind people, that's all.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, if anyone else has any other topics they'd like to bring up, then now is your chance. Or anything else you'd like to say last minute on this topic. Of course, the floor is open if there's anything staff would like to say, anything they'd want to raise with the community, anything they'd want, I don't know, put on record or anything like that, but staff have said quite a bit here, so if there's nothing else, then you are consider yourself dismissed from class.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, headmaster.
Please don't fist fight in the hall on the way out. I need to get back to my wife who hates me.
Doc, you're dead when I get my hands on you.
I thought
I
you were
hate you.
talking about the lizard doc. I was like, yeah.
The
bioluminescent doc, yeah.
Yeah, the lizard doc. He's fucking doomed.
How do you know I'm not a lizard?
Well, it's to be determined, but the other one is confirmed.
The other one is confirmed, yeah.
His eyes only move side to side and work based on movement. Therefore, he is a lizard.
Well, that explains why he always ends up in fucking tizzy when he means to go to altar.
I mean, technically, aren't we all lizards? Like, historically and like how we evolved?
No, I'm a human.
You speak for yourself.
Yeah, lizard.
I'm a human. This is what we look like.
don't we still have the bone at the bottom of our back that was like the
I
lizard tail?
evolved from God. You may think you evolved from a monkey.
Well, lizard.
I am the Emperor's divine being, handcrafted to spread the will of the Imperium
The
of
lizards
man.
want you to believe evolution.
I love everybody. I'm gonna go lay under my heat lamp.
Yeah, I ain't no fucking fish.
Whoa.
Oh.
I mean,
I'm taking all of
maybe
this in
that's
character.
why we all get like fake tans and bullshit and tanning beds. I knew it.
There you go.
We're unraveling the mystery.
In our subconscious.
God created us on the 6th day
Alexa
and rested
Jones
on the
is dead.
7th.
He's in a bag.
All right, can we all go back to KOH?
And then left home
He's
like
against
dad
that.
and never
You're
came back
against
with the
that.
milk.
You've got an important courtyard session to be at.
What'd you say, Buck?
Oh, no.
The gas supply will continue to be wedded.
Grenades out of my community area.
You're in a skin bag, mate. You ain't doing
Just
anything.
tell me,
No,
Wolfie,
more.
what color are you
More
wearing
changed.
today?
Dark blue.
You've changed, man.
Baja Blast.
You've
I change every
so
day.
much. You've changed.
What the fuck is that?
What a glow down. What a glow down.
Oh,
man.
I'm so glad all of this is going to be included in the recording.
Oh no.
Shit.
Anyhow, I'm not going this way now.
All right, bye. Bye.
No
Good
fighting
man,
in the
bro.
halls, kids.